Domestic violence. Almost one third of all married women in India have experienced spousal violence, and wife beating is found acceptable by women in many Indian households. Persuasive patriarchal attitudes continue to undermine the social status of women, contributing to poor health and mortality outcomes for girls and worsening sex ratios at birth. We analyze why the women of India are yet to receive equity and how can this social malaise be eliminated.
Citing data from the National Family Health Survey 4, Sahaj came out with a report which said about 27% of women aged 15 to 49 years have experienced physical violence since the age of 15 years. On one hand, India shows a strong economic growth, and on the other hand, it lags far behind in achieving equitable development amongst individuals facing discrimination based on caste, class, or gender, said the report titled Fiscal Underpinnings of Gender Equity Health, Nutrition and Welfare Programs for Women. Despite the existence of initiatives such as Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, persuasive patriarchal attitudes continue to undermine the social status of women. Though significant progress has been seen in establishing new legislation and policies to promote the rights of girls and women in areas such as political leadership and economic participation, many of these commitments have yet to translate into tangible outcomes, it said. Thus, to realistically achieve sustainable development goals, India needs more concerted efforts and synergistic approach for including women in all spheres of development, the report added. Delaying marriage by even 1 year could significantly reduce a young woman's chances of being subjected to domestic violence in India, according to a new study. Over the decades to 2016, there has been a 20% point reduction in the number of girls married off before 18 years of age in India, from 47% in 2006 to 27% in 2016, as per UNICEF. But this still leaves 1.5 million girls more vulnerable to domestic violence than those marrying later in life, concluded the study, which was jointly conducted by the Indian Institute of Management, Indore, and the Shiv Nadar University. Incidents of less severe physical violence, such as pushing, arm twisting, hair pulling, or slapping, could fall from being inflicted on 25% of all women to 18% with just 1 year delay in marriage. More severe forms of physical violence, such as kicking, beating, choking, burning, threatening, or attacking with a weapon, would decrease from 6% prevalence to 2%, the 2018 study found. If applied to the national female population, 586 million as per the 2011 census, 50% of whom are married. This means the number of women exposed to less severe violence could decrease by 20 million, from 73 million to 53 million, as per this study. Those exposed to severe physical violence is likely to fall from 18 million to 6 million. Why are younger women more likely to face violence in a marriage? Women who marry early are more likely to have their studies interrupted, tend to be less assertive and less resistive to domestic violence, and hence safer to be victimized, according to the study. Also, women who are forced to replace formal education with family responsibilities have fewer social and economic resources and reduced opportunities of empowerment within marriage available to them, the study added. Violence against women is a significant global public health problem, with those exposed to physical or sexual abuse by partners 16% more likely to have a low birth weight baby, more than twice as likely to have an abortion, and almost twice as likely to experience depression. In India, 50% of women feel it is reasonable for husbands to beat their wives as a form of punishment, according to the Family Health Survey 4, 2015 to 2016. A casual link between early marriage and exposure to domestic violence underlines the importance of policies to tackle child marriage by incentivizing families to continue girls' education and delay their marriage. In India, both state, Kanya Shri Prakalp in West Bengal and Apni Beti Apna Dhan in Haryana, for example, in Central, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. Government schemes use economic, social and awareness building methods to sanitize communities on the benefits of delayed marriage. Educated women too deal with domestic violence. The relationship between age and exposure to partner violence is not always negative. The study found women who marry later may have more education, greater bargaining power within marriage, and the ability to be more assertive, but they might also face a stronger backlash from their partner, the study suggested. More education is undoubtedly good because it gives the woman more opportunities, more resources, but at the same time, despite having these resources, there are many other determinants that keep women in that violent relationship. We have dealt with over 13,000 women in the last 18 years, and we have seen every educated woman suffering severe forms of violence. Unfortunately, violence is something which is inbuilt in the family structure of India, said Nareen Daruwala, Director Program on Prevention of Violence Against Women and Children at Sneha, a non-profit focused on public health. The stigma attached to divorce or singlehood may further negate the empowering effect of increased education in the case of women, according to the study.
How much does domestic violence cost the world? Domestic violence costs the world 25 times more than war and terrorism, according to research conducted by James Pearson of Stanford University and Anke Hoefler of Oxford University on behalf of Copenhagen Consistent Sister. By looking at different kinds of violence, Pearson and Hoefler find that global costs of conflict, including the economic toll of death from wars and terrorism, refugee-related outlets, and general pecuniary damage, add up to 0.2% of global GDP each year. That figure is dwarfed by domestic violence. The cost of domestic violence adds up to as astonishing 2.5% of global GDP each year. Nevertheless, the amount of research and funding directed at solving the problem of domestic violence is tiny compared to what is spent in pursuit of international peace. In recent years, domestic violence has come into sharper focus in India, where shocking stories of extreme brutality have made headlines around the world. Because India is home to approximately one-fifth of the global population, finding scalable solutions to the problem there could have been far-reaching implications to the rest of the world. Like many countries, India's gender inequalities are deeply entrenched. Yet, given the sheer size of its population, any meaningful reduction in the domestic violence could transform millions of lives for generations to come.